Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to another edition of the Absolutely Women's Football Show. Just let you into a little secret. I've just taken a sip of this and it's absolutely disgusting. So if my face goes into weird positions during this, it's because I'm trying to work through it. That's my little behind the secrets hint to all of you. We, of course, are missing one key member. Paul will be along shortly. However, I've got two wonderful people with me as always. Chloe, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Yeah.
Good. Glad to hear it. And Danny, of course, always lovely to see you. How are you doing?
Hello. Yeah, I'm all good, thanks. Yeah, I'm just sipping some herbal lemon tea to stave off illness from my house, but it's okay. I think we're good at the moment.
Do you want to swap? I can interest you.
What is that you've got there?
It's a salted caramel espresso martini.
Oh, it looks like some sort of Big Brother eye on the front as well.
Oh, it's awful. Yeah, look.
Yeah.
I suppose it's meant to be a coffee bean, maybe. Artistically, possibly.
8:33 p.m.
8:33.
Team Chaos are late again.
Already. Yeah, Emma's saying that sounds horrible. It is. Don't buy it. Other cocktails are available that are very nice, but that one just.
Oh, Baby Guinness, yes.
Baby Guinness, yes. However, Emma did text me during the week to say, I made a Baby Guinness, but it was the wrong way around, so it was a Guinness baby.
Guinness baby is a very different thing.
Guinness baby instead. Which did make me laugh. Yeah, however, Graham, we were looking to see if the comments had started about how late we were going to be. Not too bad. However, Graham does say, no time to keep you slander this week after Freya's heroic 823 game coverage on Sunday. Yeah, for some bizarre reason, I thought that'll be a good idea to cover all of the FA Cup games at the same time. So yeah, I needed to lie down in a darkened room after that because it was too much. It was too much. But my new graphics did get a workout, so there we go. Yeah, Emily, I have just said Paul is running a bit late, but he will be joining us. Don't worry. We can't do the show without him. Now, lots of stuff has gone on this week. So what we're going to do, we're going to start with the news, which is quite a bit of the show. So we're going to try and keep it as brief as possible. And then we're going to talk, of course, about the FA Cup games at the weekend. So shall we start with the better versions of the news, and then we'll go into the heavy stuff as we go on. So really quickly, it was the quarterfinal of the German Women's Cup tonight, and all of the games that were on finished in 90 minutes fine. By chance, I flicked over to the Bayern-Frankfurt game, where Frankfurt were 1-0 up against Bayern after a Carolyn Simon own goal, until the 90th minute, when Damjanovic equalised, take you to extra time.
Damjanovic.
Damjanovic doing it again. She took it to extra time in the 93rd, 104th minute, and just looking, the 109th minute, Bayern then scored for it to finish 4-1. And you just think, if that goal hadn't gone in, Frankfurt would have obviously gone on to the semis. But yeah, just quick shout out for 19-year-old Momoko Tanikawa. 19 comes on in extra time and scores in the 104th minute to make it 3-1. You just think there's so much young talent, isn't there? And the good thing about this pod, we can kind of bring different players and different teams to the surface, which is what I really love. So yeah.
Wolfsburg out as well. Looks it. Did
they go out?
They lost over Hoffenheim.
Yes, of course. Let's look. Honestly, it's hard to watch some of the leagues, isn't it, if you don't quite know where to look. But DAZN does show a lot of these Frauen Bundesliga. I was like, it's Bundesliga. What's the other word? Frauen Bundesliga games. But again, it's not really advertised as much. But if you can, and people in the chat, if you can watch any of the German games, please do. There's some brilliant talent in there. But yeah, so we'll keep you updated with that as and when. But that did finish 4-1, that quarterfinal. Right then. We also had, of course, just check if Paul's here yet. Nope. We had the Lionesses squads announced this week. I was going to say there was a lot of fizzing in the background there. I don't know. Just put a modem.
I thought that was Paul trying to connect, isn't it?
Yeah. And do a seance, and that's how we get Paul. It's really dodgy.
It wouldn't be far wrong, to be honest.
We'll do it 3 times, see if he pops up. But yeah, the Lionesses squads came out. So the seniors, the under 23s, and the under 19s were announced yesterday and today for the various upcoming international tournaments, with, of course, the Women's Nations League back next week. Big news, though, with the seniors. Nikita Paris, finally back. We've all been calling for it, haven't we? And definitely well deserved for that one. But of course, Chloe Kelly not involved, despite Serena claiming, in previous camps that she's had credit in the bank. But it hasn't ruled her out of the Euros, depending on playing time, of course, now that she's moved to Arsenal. Danny, were you happy with the squads? Anyone that you want to really shout out or that you took notice of?
Yeah, it's good to see Ruby Mason there.
Yes, of course. Yeah, with the seniors.
Yes, yeah, up to the seniors.
Really?
Laura Blinkilda Brown as well. Obviously, we've all been calling for a while. I think it's not just a case of she's been playing really well, but I think in this system she'd really work well under Serena, and so I'm really excited to see some more of her, and hopefully in this system as well. And it's about game time for the others, isn't it? In terms of how much they get. Like I want Aggie to get some minutes in there. It'd be good to see Lauren James back to see how she does. But yeah, decent squad. I think the Chloe Kelly thing was kind of expected in terms of her playing time. But,
wasn't it? Yeah.
In past times, Serena has kind of brought players in without them having played games. So he wasn't really sure what to expect in the end. But it's a good squad. Looking forward to it.
Because then it's a question of, yes, they're being called up, but like you said, will they get that playing time? Chloe, how about for you? Were you happy with the squads? Anyone you would have changed?
Yeah, pretty happy with the squad. Chloe Kelly, again, it was obvious, really. That's why she's made the transfer, to hopefully get more game time and get in the Euro squad. But no, pretty good squad, and yeah, look forward to seeing how they do in the Nations League.
Yes, of course.
Possibly there's someone's put in the chat as well. Emma, Beth England for sure would be, I think, gutted to not get in.
It was going to be my next point. Hey, Emma, you put your crystal ball out for this one. And also, iGame, I've just seen your comment as well. So Emma's put justice for Beth England and Lucy Parker. Yeah, because Lucy Bronze has been out with a bit of an injury, a bit of a knock. So you'd think maybe a good chance to call someone up like Lucy Parker, who has been very solid in defence. She's been in the setup before. So you think this would be, and for Lucy as well, rest her for a little bit. Get her to a good point where you can use her for the Euros, because, an injury to a player like her at this point would just be completely detrimental, wouldn't it? And Beth England, of course, we've seen what she's been doing, her consistent performances, showing up for Spurs. And it just begs the question, what do these people have to do? Or is it just a case of, again, they're not fitting into Serena's plans? Danny, do you think the people on the outskirts think they've got a chance under Serena, or is it just she likes?
Maybe under her, but like the timing towards the Euros is getting very thin now, isn't it? There's not that many games left before we have to go, so the squad will be kind of forming in Serena's mind now. I would imagine. So this is probably a last couple of chances for anyone maybe on the fringes to come in and make a good impression. So hopefully they get that chance. I think this is probably the last realistic time for them to break in, isn't it?
Yes, exactly. And iGame's put there, I don't know if it's just me, but why is Esme being called up instead of Gabby George, who's actually left-footed, or even Naomi Lizelle, who's played right back for more full-back depth? I think Lizelle would be a good shout, but I think she's under 23s. I think she's been called up for. I might have just made that up, but that sounds. Let's just check. Linus is under 23s. But yeah, she would have been, again, another player coming in. But is she more suited at this point when it is Euros prep to to the unders.
Yeah, she's under 23s. Yeah.
Yeah. And again, she fits. She's strong to fit in that environment, isn't she? And hey, speak his name, and he will appear. Hello, Mr. Rainbow Man. How you doing?
Hello, I made it. How are you doing? Am I actually on? Yes, I am on. Good.
Yeah, Paul, don't worry. You good?
I am good. Trans flag eyeliner, and there may be a point being made here.
It's very subtle, whatever it is.
I think it's the subtlety. I need the topical tag was nearly Freya Mappy, but I decided to make it, given her throwing legal around, I decided to just make it more general. So
good.
So that's Spanish for down with bigots or bigots out. So
yeah, fuera out. Yeah, good.
So
hey, look at you being multilingual on the pod. This is what we like. Paul, we're just saying about the England squads and the under 23s, under 19s have all been announced. Happy? Anyone you would change if you could?
Well, I came in. I agree with you. I don't know what Esme Morgan is still doing in the squad, even though she is playing a bit more, to be fair, in the NWSL. Okay. But again, Gabby George, Grace Fisk. I don't know what Grace Fisk has to do at this point to get into the squad.
Yeah, because Missy Moore's under 23s, but yeah, Grace Fisk would be another good shout.
Emily and I thinking exactly the same. Emily obviously made it back from the field in rugby. But yes, Missy Bo-Kearns, I think she's still more under 23s, perhaps.
Yeah. At this point.
Grace Fisk deserves a chance to force her way into the squad. I think if you're talking about names like Gabby George, who has done well but has returned from injury, I think that Grace Fisk has to have an argument. I'm assuming we've had the Chloe Kelly conversation.
Yeah, just that's fair. She hasn't been playing, so despite the credit she's previously had.
Beth England, like you say, as well. I think with all of it, much of a muchness with that. I am quite surprised Nikita Paris has only made it back in now. I'm surprised, given her hot run at the start of the season. I do wonder if she's now being picked for that after she's already had a hot run in classic England fashion.
It's just a shame, isn't it? Because we've been talking about her and saying, why isn't she being picked for so long? Because of her form is so good. So at least she's being picked up. So that's all we can say. Tony's very positive about this. It's okay when Wigman gets fired after the Lionesses groups at the Euros. She might get called up by the next manager. Hey,
I worry about that. I mean, obviously Tony's Swedish, so they don't care. But if the Lionesses do get grouped at the Euros as champions, can you imagine the backlash? I genuinely worry it could be women's football has its brief moment in the sun, and then it stalls all the momentum.
Yeah, there'll be the people that, as soon as it goes wrong, we hear everything, fire everyone. That usual brigade that pop out every time something goes wrong.
I mean, Phil Neville probably won't have a job.
Phil, no, not yet. Back in the cupboard, Phil.
Give it 3 months, Phil.
He heard his name.
Timer now. Countdown for Phil Scott.
Phil Neville countdown timer just in the corner.
Like a deadline day counter. This Phil's face.
Yes. I'm totally going to put a banner now at the bottom.
I believe in Phil Neville.
It's like everyone vote will get up to number 1. That can be the Euros song of the tournament.
If he gets a second chance, you know how managers have chance, and it's like Serena's, trust in Serena we trust and all that stuff. Can you imagine a sold out Wembley chant in Say his name and he appears. I believe in Phil Neville.
It's a giant face just turns around. It's Phil.
He just walks onto the pitch with like confetti cannons before the team does. Like,
I was thinking one of the big flags that go down all of like the tiers of the stadium.
They just appears, yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. FA, when you re-sign Phil Neville, that is the announcement, right? At St. George's Park. We'd like to welcome the New England manager. The song hits and he walks from like a curtain in a St. George's Cross leotard. Wow.
It needs to happen. We are available for design and planning of that event if anyone needs us.
Can I just say, I love the fact that people in the chat got that, because I thought it was a fairly niche reference that we kind of get. But, you have to know wrestling. But
our people are in the chat, Paul. Don't worry. Our people are in the chat.
That's more wrestling references in the podcast. Then I'm going to start. We should all have our own entrance themes.
Yes, every day.
The podcast is long enough, okay?
It won't start till 9 o'clock.
Intro, and then all of ours would never get to bed.
I'll just come into like you suffer by napalm death or something, which is a second and a half long, and just like this is for Skinner. Let me tell you something, Skinner. Normally you'd have 50% of winning, but there's 3 of us, so you only got 33% chance of winning. Just Skinner mathematics. I'm going full wrestling nerd now.
What, 17 minutes in?
And if you haven't watched or listened before, this is a good podcast. Paul does this, and it's fine. We'll get back to it.
There won't be much of a Skinner rant this week. I'm just warning you, because I've run out of things to say about him. So I'm going to be like. And
there's more heartwarming points.
There's far more positive stuff to focus on. I'm a lover, not a fighter. Honest.
No. Right. Okay. Next. Next up, then, we also, I think this was just today, wasn't it? Yesterday, Durham Women have come under new ownership. Club director Lee Sanders oversaw the change in ownership from Durham University to both himself and long-term co-director Dawn Heppel, and they are joined by investors Patrick and Francis Connolly, who are long-term supporters of the club and already are sponsors of Durham Women, who have joined the club as shareholders. And we found a little article which may explain why. They won was it the Euro Millions?
Yeah.
So, imagine that. You win the Euro Millions, you go up to your local club and go, hey, can I come in as a shareholder? So we just thought that means, a lot more money going into the club now. So, Paul, what does that kind of do for football? Well, promoting football in the Northeast, because Durham have always been independent, haven't they? So what does this do as a change of ownership? It's good, right?
Well, first of all, it was amazing because cynic me, seeing these new owners, went straight to company's house to look at the.
You a cynic? Never.
And saw and I was going around going, all the accounts of these don't look bad. Have we got anybody accountants? And kind of went in the group chat and said. And then within about 30 seconds, Chloe was just straight in there with a link going, that's where I'm like, does anyone know where their money's coming from? Because this looks dodgy. And Chloe just goes, here. And I'm like, fair enough. Okay. Any worries about funding have gone out the window. But on a serious note, it's amazing because Durham have been standard bearers for the club, for like independent clubs for a while. London City, the latecomers kind of came along and did their thing. And then Kang turned up. And so Durham decided to go and get Kodos, basically, and found these local people, this local couple. And just to check, they've said Lee Sanders is one of the directors. The other is Dawn Heppel. Is that Beth's mum?
I know a few Heppels in the northeast, so
I
it
was
might
going to
just
say
be.
it might be a
I'm
fairly
not
common
sure, though.
surname.
Yeah, I went to school with a lad whose last name was Heppel, so I think there's quite a few. I mean, we can fact check, of course.
But I do think that for football in the northeast, it does mean your club, Sunderland, Christian and his tens of millions owning half of Europe.
Yeah, I was going to say, Graham. No need.
We'll have look up Christian Speakman is all I'm saying, and look up that family, Graham, if you haven't already. They are very much not the poor relation.
So you'd think if they could, and they can see everyone else in the northeast kind of taking off around them through whichever means, that they might start to actually pump some more money into.
You'd hope that, wouldn't you? Because Christian Speakman is basically linked with Kirill Louis Dreyfus, who basically owns most of France.
Oh, okay.
Or his family own most of France.
Yeah.
So the money for Sunderland, as we've seen with the men's team this transfer window, with Enzo Lefebvre joining the men's team, which, by the way, that means Enzo the Witch in French, which is the most amazing footballer name ever.
Oh, that's incredible. You could make some good flags with that.
You could make some amazing flags with that. Yeah. He needs a sister. Like, if he has a sister who comes and plays for Sunderland Women, imagine, because the Sunderland Women Supporters Club and their flags are amazing. So imagine what they could do with that surname.
Amazing. I think you should just make them anyway and just pretend he plays for them. Yeah.
But I do agree. Just the jolt that's going to give to football in the northeast, because now Newcastle won't be able to just buy everybody from the other two clubs in the northeast.
Yeah.
They can't just raid Durham for Durham's best young players.
No. And Sunderland.
Yeah. I've just looked up on Beth Heppel's Instagram. It looks like it is a mum.
Oh.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Hey, keep it in the family. Why not?
It's a good job Beth Heppel happens to be one of the legendary players from the northeast, isn't it? Because if she wasn't very good and still playing, and her mum bought the club,
Mum, what are you doing here?
It's like my dad's the coach, but extreme, isn't it? Like, in grassroots sport, you always have the crap kid whose dad is the coach, so they get they always start or they always get playing all the time. It's like an extreme version of that.
Well, my mum owns a club, and she says,
my mum owns the club, so I'm playing right wing, and I can have the number 7. Like, but
and you can only pass to me in the box. Yeah, that'd be incredible.
But it's just like one of the other people I know, a Wolves fan, ironically made the point that you don't need mega books in the Championship with the way things are at the moment. Everyone's focusing on Michelle Kang's Death Star in Bromley, but you don't. You don't. This is like the Death Star's exhaust port. Like the fact that Durham have turned up and bought in their own massively rich owners. You've got X-wings taking on the Lioness's Death Star, and it's. Have I pushed this metaphor too far, everybody?
I mean, a little bit. We're still hanging on, but we're
still hanging on. We're in the trench. We're getting shot at. But we're still hanging on.
I'm still laughing at Kang's Death Star, to be honest. I just thought you lost me after that. I was too focused on that. Just in the middle of Kent, just massive.
Can we just have every time we mention London City, just like a quick burst of the Imperial March, like Michelle Kang, ding ding.
Well, we'll talk about it when we get to the Arsenal London City game, but that should have played as she walked onto the field.
if she gets every time she gets interviewed, she just walks in, just goes. Hello, everybody. No, sorry. But in all seriousness, Durham having this investment, more to the point, it's not rich owners coming in and taking over, in the sense that Lee Sanders is Mr. Durham because he set the team up. He's been head coach there and manager for many years, and then kind of stepped into a more administrative role. Dawn Heppel is Beth's mum, so you'd imagine she knows a fair bit about what goes on around the club and has had a fair bit of involvement. With football always having an issue with owners, questionable owners. Have you got a contact with the Valley DJ, Graham? If you can just have a word with the DJ at the Valley.
Yeah.
Just but I think like you say, they're doing it the right way, and it's really exciting, and hopefully it'll stop people talking about London Bloody City and Newcastle as the only two teams in the Championship existing and investing. Hopefully they can focus on the club with actual history.
Yeah, and with actual people behind it who wanted to succeed and they're putting money in because they're fans and they wanted to do better. So yeah, good. And that's what you want. You know, obviously as a business person to put money in, you want it to turn a profit. But at the end of the day, if you've got the money to help causes you care about, then why not?
It does strike me as well that they're not in it for profit at all, because
no,
they've said they're from Hartlepool, I think. Well, they're originally from Northern Ireland, but they're based in Hartlepool, so a little bit further south. But
hey, I was reading the article. They've got a house in County Durham now.
all of their philanthropic courses, by the looks of it, have been that area of the northeast. Yeah,
she sounds lovely. The lady, when I was reading the article, and she was saying, all the charities she's donated to, and it's just that's what you'd love to be able to do with lottery winnings, isn't it? To actually support causes that need it. So yeah, fair play to them, and good luck to them, and hopefully it all pays off. That does segue quite nicely to another cause and campaign that's come up recently. Have we all seen Arsenal women have joined the campaign to tackle cervical cancer this week? And especially, promoted by, all of them, of course, but in the advert, Beth Mead, notably there, after the sad news of, her mum passing away a few years ago. And essentially this campaign, if you haven't seen it, do go look for the advert. It's really, 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 really good. Essentially, by 2040, they want to make cervical cancer completely preventable. So that's the NHS's plan. And Beth and Arsenal have said, would obviously love to be a part of that, to help promote it, put it out there, and hopefully make it a cancer that we don't need to talk about anymore. So they're using the North London Derby as like the big kind of launch point to say they're with each other in the campaign. And it's a quick and easy thing to do if you're a lady of a certain age, person of a certain age, make sure you do go and do it, because it's not the most pleasant thing in the world, but if ultimately it can help save you, save a life, then do please go do it. So again, more positivity. We're raising awareness. Unfortunately, we've now got to talk about the news that's not so great from the world of women's football this week. First thing, started off, we didn't know if it was a bit of a spoof or a bit of a what on earth's going on. This was from Boldmere United. Their social media account went off at Leafield Athletic. Now, the official Boldmere account, tweeted Leafield Athletic to say, spend a lot of time talking about mental health in the women's game, yet their manager and coaches cackle and cheer every time an opposing player makes a mistake. Something they've done each time we've played them. The hypocrisy from this lot is staggering. So that was from the official account, Tash Tesgall, who, again, we all know, head coach of Leafield Athletic, did reply back from her personal account, defending herself, her team, and saying, how much of a mental health advocate she is. And we know she is from the work she's done, especially with the Maddie Cusack Foundation. But she did release a statement today. Again, I don't know if people have seen it, saying, she's passed it over to the relevant people in order to handle it properly. Because, Danny, I'm just going to come to you because you're more familiar with this division. But regardless of the division, it wasn't acceptable for that to happen, was it?
No, not at all. And I don't think any of it from both sides should have started online or carried on online.
No.
It seems to have just been a thing with a few people these days that the argument happens online in front of everybody. And I don't know whether it was worked out whether that was Carl Henry, the manager behind the social media posts was it? Yeah. And if it was, that's just ridiculous that he's taken over the social media accounts to do that. Again, Tash has gone on there as well to carry on the argument. And I think she's finished it off today by saying, I'm taking it through all the channels now, isn't she? And she's going to try to do things right. But I just think it should have just not got to this point in the first place. There's obviously things you need to raise awareness of if there's something happening in the games, that especially at that level. And it happens a lot, unfortunately, I think, from the sidelines in this division. But I think just taking it online just leaves a bit of taste from both sides. And not the nicest thing to be kind of playing out when you've got sort of supporters and young supporters watching on, is it, from social media, where they're going to get a lot of influence from. So
and that's the thing, in how awful social media is at the minute as well. It feels like the people who wouldn't say it to your face, they'll happily say it to you on social media, and we've seen that a lot, haven't we? But especially more recent months as well. And she even said, didn't she, Tash? She went, "Look, we train at the same place. You could have pulled us aside. You could have had a chat if this was really an issue." But then she did say in her statement as well, I shouldn't have replied. I put my hands up at that. So again, you just...
And then she did put another quote at the end of that as well. Yeah. It's like, I'm finished with the thing. I'm taking it through all the processes, and then added a little quote at the end.
Which, I mean, I love her for. If we can get Tash on the pod, Tash, if you're watching, we would love to have a chat to you on the pod about other stuff, of course, not about this. But she just seems like the right character, doesn't she? Like she's the manager that you need.
We've had run-in with her this season as well, so I will remain quiet from now on.
Oh, okay. Hey, it's all happening in the lower league, isn't it?
Exactly what Sean says at the end there, just don't be a dick, is a good motto to go by.
All of the hashtags. Yes, absolutely.
We've already got Danny's chance, by the way, though, because Northampton play Boldmere shortly.
We not as shortly as I thought they were. I got the fixture on the day. So we're actually playing Sutton Coldfield on Thursday, not Boldmere, but Boldmere's manager Carl Henry apparently stole some of our footballs in the last game. So we didn't take that online, did we? Hey?
No, but I hope the truth is prepared.
I like Bitchy Danny. Can we have more of a Bitchy Danny? I'm just going
to start shouting, "Give us our ball back."
Brave when you're tweeting. You're only brave. Yeah.
Only brave when you're tweeting. Some other good news, though. We're just going to take off that. Thank you, Chris. Sunderland 2, Luton 0. Woohoo! Just to put it out there. Well, hey, we're getting some good information in there in the middle. All right then. We've also had some trials going on in the world of women's football, haven't we? Now, because they're all legal trials, all we're going to do is state the facts, state the outcomes, keep it at that, because it could go on forever. Lots of different viewpoints, whether they're personal, whether they're, legal, all of these different things. And ultimately, some people have threatened to sue. So we don't want to get sued. So we're just going to keep it to the facts, but we want to update you with what's happening. So let's start with Sam Kerr. Now, remember, this all happened, it was January last year, wasn't it? So it's, it's been dragging on for a very long time. She has officially been found not guilty. Okay, so not guilty of, essentially being racist to a police officer. She posted on her Instagram saying she can finally put the challenging period behind her. She apologized for expressing herself poorly, because again, we all saw the video, and that she maintained she never intended to insult or harm anyone, and she's thankful the jury agreed with her. So officially, Sam Kerr has been found not guilty. I also told you last week that Luis Rubiales, his court case had gone to court, had started. Now, Jenny Hermoso, she took to the stand last Tuesday. Her Spanish teammates Irina Paredes, Laia Codina, and Alexia Putellas have all took to the stand as well to give their accounts of what happened. I think if anyone's seen the documentary, they were all very vocal in helping, this being taken to the right channels. So they've all given their accounts too. And Rubiales has also taken to the stand since. The trial is expected to run, some say Thursday, which would be tomorrow. Some say the 19th. So it's still running, but soon should be over. And just a reminder that Rubiales is facing a 1-year prison sentence for sexual assault if he's found guilty, and a further 1.5 years for coercion, as well as Jorge Vilda and the president of the RFEF as well, I believe. So they're all up for coercion to try and stop this from coming out. So again, we'll keep you, updated with that too. Horrendous cases all over the place. And again, people's comments in the chat, you can share them, of course, but we're not going to get into it. We're going to take a emotional step back from this one. However, there was a third thing, unfortunately. How do we put this politely? A video circulated on the internet, and it looks very damning, if indeed it is what it looks like. And again, being very careful with our wording here. So a video went viral from the Espanyol versus Barcelona game at the weekend, and it showed Mapi Leon allegedly touching the private parts of Espanyol player Daniela Caracas on the pitch. And according to certain lip readers, she asked a particular question to go with that. Now, I just want to stress this has caused a lot of outrage, as it rightly should. And both clubs have since released statements, with Espanyol fully supporting Caracas and offering their legal services if she wanted to press charges. Barcelona weren't so quick to release a statement, but they have since, in which Mapi does vehemently deny any wrongdoing, saying the moment caught on camera was her tapping Caracas's leg and saying, "What's wrong with you?" So that's what she says. Because remember, the other quoted thing was from Spanish lip readers. And if you've seen the account Bad Lip Readings on Instagram, I mean, anything can happen is all I'm saying. After the Espanyol player had intentionally bumped into her during a match. In the statement, she also said she's upset and disappointed at the allegations and reserves the right to take legal action against anyone who continues this narrative. So again, that's why we're not going to go into it. We're just bringing you the facts of what is happening. Because obviously, on a more serious note, that's, a horrendous thing that we wouldn't want to happen. The latest on this is that Espanyol has decided not to take action. However, the RFEF's disciplinary committee, according to El Confidencial, have decided to open an extraordinary procedure into the case where both players will be summoned to state their case, and there will be a maximum period of a month where, if found guilty of a sanction, then it can then be applied. Now, what we will say about this, Daniela Caracas is a player of colour as well. And we've discussed before about how women of colour especially are treated differently. We've talked about it in the Olympics. We've talked about various sportswomen who get certain comments, whether they're racially very conscious or just very, very ingrained into the subconscious. Now, Paul, you had a quote from that certain account that you wanted to share. So again, we are very aware we are an all-white panel this evening, but we don't want to let that stop us from raising awareness of, prejudice, essentially. So yeah, Paul, if you got that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Again, obviously, one of the things with this is we're all white, but it's a case of letting people of colour speak about such things.
Yes.
And there is a guy called Andre who is a very prominent person of colour who talks about women's football in America. His Twitter account is at 838Carlisle. I believe he was that name on Twitter as well for a long while. And in amongst a lot of things that people have said about such things, they made a very interesting point. They said basically that a lot of this discussion is an example of, they use the phrase anti-blackness, and they said that the way they were kind of talking about it, and basically the full quote, I finally found it, the full quote that this person, who is a person of colour, their take on it was, Mappy Leon, a white European who has looks can be deceiving tattooed on her neck, felt justified in touching a black player inappropriately and remarking about genitalia. And this is an illustration of how aspects of celebrated mainstream feminism not only excludes non-white people, but often targets black people because they don't meet the accepted standards of white European femininity. And so that then leads to obviously more assumptions being made about athletes of colour. Yes. And this is something that is endemic in sport. We saw it with Amani Khalif. We've seen it with Caster Semenya.
Yep.
And I just thought it was interesting that, you know, this is something that doesn't really get mentioned enough in European media, which obviously through representation through the fault of his own is predominantly, again, white journalists and white people talking about it.
Yeah.
And I also found it very interesting and strange. There was a lot of discussion as well in the Sam Kerr trial. There was Sam Kerr saying that she felt she was treated differently to Christy Mewis in her testimony. And I find it interesting that the same fan base who saw the Luis Rubiales thing on film and instantly rose, as they should, to the defense of Jenny Hermoso, saw another example where there was possibly evidence of a player being touched inappropriately. And because it was their favourite Mappy Leon, and because it was possibly, again, because it was a opponent of colour, the instant assumption was made differently. There were all sorts of insults hurled at Daniela Caracas. And it's, you know, like we say, it's stuff like this that exposes ugly biases as well, as much as anything. And we can't, I think as white people, we can't talk about them and say, oh, this happens because of this.
No.
But we can point them out and say, hey, we're aware of this, and educate ourselves and listen to people of colour when they're talking about them, which is why I picked that quote out and said I thought it was important to bring that up.
Exactly. And we really thank you for that, because, you know, we want people, you know, people's true voices to be heard, and not to be silenced by this, because, you know, Caracas, like you said, has faced a lot of abuse online, you know, for putting Leon in this position, which absolutely not. But the support around her, apart from, you know, luckily Espanyol came out pretty much straight away, didn't they, and said, look, we're behind you, we support you as a club. But the actual support for Daniela online has been very quiet. And it's only certain people who have been speaking up about it. But yeah, there's been a lot of defense for Mappy as well. So yeah, again, like we said, that's kind of how it is at the moment. That's where it sits. And as soon as we have any more updates, we will bring it. But we thought it was important to talk about, because things like this do need to be discussed and point in the right direction. But there's some fantastic writers out there who are sharing their viewpoints, what this really feels like. So please, if you do want to go look for them, no, they are there.
But I do think what we need to do, and why I've done this and all of this and whatever, is just the only way we can help when this happens, as white people, when stuff like this happens, is come out against it and say, this is shit. This is not something we want. If women's football wants to be inclusive, it doesn't matter who the player is. It needs to be stamped out. We can't be in a situation where certain players get all the support and others don't for whatever reason.
Exactly. Yeah. You either support everyone or you don't. Like, there's no, I'll support them because of this. No. You need to support, all women, everyone in women's football, because it's the right thing to do. And not let people get away with things because of who they are is a better way of saying what I just said.
I also think as well, if, even if it hasn't been said, and obviously we don't know, the fact that rhetoric like that is being put out as being said and is believable as being said in women's football because of the culture wars and gender debate must be horrific for trans people and LGBT people, and with all the debate. And so and this is where, like you say, the only way to combat that is to say, hey, if this happening, this is shit, and whoever it is, the strongest if they are found to have done such things, the strongest possible sanctions need to be applied, whoever it is. It should end careers.
Yeah, it's very much making sure that the crime, wherever it is at any level, that it's dealt with in the appropriate ways and the consequences do then match. And that goes for everything, doesn't it? So we can be here, we can stand up, we can say it, we can raise awareness, we can do all that we can to make sure that, these things don't happen and that people don't get away with it. At the end of the day. Yeah, perfect. Okay, right. Enough of the heavy stuff then. Shall we look at some results from the weekend? So it was the Women's FA Cup 5th round. Dun, 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 dun. And the results looked a little bit like this. And finally, look, Villa are in green. Woohoo! Because they won. Very, very happy to report that. So the quarterfinalists have obviously been announced, and we have got the quarterfinal draws as well, which we will go through after we've done our match reports. So first things first then, I'm going to go first because I'm going to brag about this. Because Villa finally came through and won 3-2 against Brighton. Now, Brighton is never an easy one. It's either, 1-0, 1-1, last minute winner, last minute equalizer, lose in the last minute. It's never easy. So the fact that it got nearly to half time, it was still 0-0. It was like, okay, this is it. We're doomed. We're doomed for extra time and penalties. That's just how it's going to go. However, goals actually happened. So let me take you through them. First of all, Paul made fun of the rugby stadium last week. I will say, did anyone see the Bescott pitch? Oh, it was like a muddy slip and slide. Did not look nice to play on at all. So respectable teams for making through it. Now, like I said, it's never been easy. In the first half, Villa had the more clear-cut chances, but again, just couldn't find the back of the net. In the final moments, however, completely against the run of play, Nikita Paris, we've sung our praises earlier, she broke the deadlock. Now, the Brighton forward found herself in loads of space. Villa defence, where were you? But initially, her chance was intercepted by Lucy Parker. However, the ball got caught under Parker's feet and gave it back to Nikita Paris, who, got a shot off and was like, yeah, lovely, thank you very much, 1-0 Brighton. However, Villa had some fight about them. It was quite nice to watch. A mere 90 seconds later, down the other end, corner kick, and Anna Patton tapped in at the back post. 1-1. And you just thought, going into halftime 1-1, still all to play for. And then, I don't know what Arroyo said in the changing rooms, but Villa started much, much quicker. 6 minutes after the restart, a signature Rachel Daly header found the back of the net after a lovely Jordan Nobbs cross, making it 2-1. 5 minutes after that, I don't know who Villa thought they were, Dutch international Chastity Grant, who is on a fantastic run of form, I do have to say, brought forward with a lovely through ball from Rachel Daly, who is playing a bit deeper. When she's got the people around it, it's working quite well. But of course, we do as well. Now, so Chastity's got this drive and run down the right. She comes more central, and you thought, oh, Gabby Nunez is there. She's going to cross to her. Nope. She went herself, went straight across goal, and you thought, is that actually going to make it? And it did. It went into the bottom left corner, under Loick's arms, and in to make it 3-1. Now, for the rest of that second half then, so you thought, 3-1, quite nice, keep it, don't let it go. Kirsty Hansen had a strike that Loick deflected, and I am saying Loick. Is that how we see it for the Brighton keeper?
Look. Well, look.
Look. Okay.
Is it look, Chloe?
I'd say Loick as well.
I'm mainly asking because obviously you being a little bit German as well.
Yeah, I'd say Loick as well.
I pronounce it look because possibly in German it would be written with a U umlaut.
Got
the U.
Lurk is the on the pronunciation guide website.
Oh, say that again, please, Danny.
Lurk, as in L-U-R-K. L-O-U-R-K, sorry.
Look.
Okay.
Look. On the official, just found it on the WSL website, it says Loick. So,
Loick.
Yeah.
All these darn pronunciations.
See, that again, as a German speaker, that Loick sounds wrong. Like it, because even with spelling and stuff, it'd be far more like what Danny says. Look.
Okay, I'll say look for the rest of it then. And my accent sounds a bit weird, but I'll try. Just on that. Look over there. Made 5 impressive saves. She had a really, really good game, and had 11 goal kicks. So if that doesn't tell you anything, I don't know what will. On the other hand, Sabs D'Angelo only made 1 save and only had 1 goal kick. So it shows that difference in attack there. However, it wasn't never going to be easy, was it, against Brighton? 72nd minute, Nikita Paris again almost started the comeback for Brighton because she got 1 back to make it 3-2. Now, this started, it was a really well-worked team move from Maria Thorisdottir at the back. Long ball over the top to find Madison Haley quite far forward in midfield, who really impressively did a turn, shook off 2 Villa defenders, and then was like, through for Nikita Paris. Paris took the shot with her left foot, slipped at the same time, but it didn't matter because it hit the back of the net. And you just thought, oh no, is this Villa again? They had a lead, are they gonna throw it away? However, they didn't. They held on for the win. And both teams were going for it right until the final moment. So Brighton just really unlucky. They just didn't create the chances. And it's only the second time, fun fact, since getting promoted that Villa have been this far in the competition. So there you go. So that was 3-2 from me, Villa Brighton. Now, next up, Paul, we're going to come to you. And we're going to talk about Wolves Man United. So even though it was a 6-0 scoreline, can we just praise goalkeeper Beck Thomas, please? Because what a game she had. But yeah, take it away, Paul. I know we're going to talk about the good stuff for this one.
Well, game wise, if you just look at the result, it's a very boring Skinner ball 6-0 win against a 3rd tier team because apparently Manchester United have to only get lower tier teams in the FA Cup. Not that there's any sort of conspiracy or anything, but
Oh, never.
The way I'm going to get around is not rant about Skinner, because you can't really rant about 6-0 win, although it was the most boring to watch 6-0 win I've seen since their last 6-0 win against West Brom. The focus and the thing that's made me happiest is after the game, one of those horrendous football banter accounts decided to pick 2 Man United goals that Beck Thomas would probably want back, that any goalie would want back, because she was caught out by the flight of it, or she was wrongly positioned, or whatever. Anyway, it did look brilliant. And they decided to put these clips on with your usual boring lol women's goalkeeping, all that sort of stuff, which absolutely, as you say, did not tell the story of Beck Thomas's game, because it could have been several more. The one that stands out for me save wise was when it was still 0-0 and Melvie Mallar was put through on goal 1-on-1 with the freedom of Telford. You know, the nearest Wolves defender was probably somewhere near the Welsh border. She had that much space, and Beck Thomas came flying out, and in true football cliche fashion, made herself big and made a fantastic save to keep Wolves in the game. And yeah, exactly. It was because it was one of your classic football lad banter accounts who never talks about women's football in any way, shape, or form, and decides to just ask questions about women's goalkeepers based on a 30-second clip.
Yeah.
But what has pleased me is is again all the support for Beck Thomas from women's football fans in general.
Yeah.
And to the point where one of the big goalkeeping accounts on Twitter, one of the goalkeeping coach Twitter accounts, made a point of making a compilation of all the good stuff Beck Thomas did and said, lots of people may not have seen this, so this is a far better representation of Beck Thomas's game.
Yeah, this is what actually happened in the match. Yeah.
And you know, as far as the game itself goes, it was 6-0 Man United. It's first tier versus third tier. Grace Clinton played, which was about the most important thing. Liz Turland was playing. You know, it's one of those classic things where you've got an international striker and one of the best strikers in the world up against a school teacher kind of thing. Like, Wolves are not full-time players.
No.
They train twice a week, and they were outshot 31-0 in the stats. Beck Thomas faced 31 shots. So even in a 6-0 loss, Beck Thomas still had an 85% save percentage, which is very impressive indeed, especially as 16 of those shots, not counting the goals, were on target. So
yeah, because according to BBC, it was 10 saves that she made, and you just think they were the 10, you know, outright saves for this one. But you're right, it could have been so much higher.
And again, the thing that again was that really annoyed me again with, you know, again, Beck Thomas trains twice a week. I know I say again a lot, but it's because I keep thinking Beck Thomas, like you say, trains twice a week, and this account decided to put a picture of Beck Thomas next to the video, and there was a very clear motive for that, because Beck Thomas is not, you know, blonde-haired, blue-eyed, Leslie Russo, English Rose darling of women's football. She is a perfectly normal woman.
Yeah.
And this was turned into, oh, she's a bit big as well and all this sort of stuff. It's like, so there's body shaming and all sorts of shit going on. And it's like, Really, lads? Why don't you fuck off and shout at Edison, or why don't you shout at Edison letting a 50-yard lob going off his arse, or
Yeah, for those,
Barbara Bruggen stepping over a back pass in the same weekend? Weird that.
it's those who seem to not care about women's football. They've certainly got a lot of opinions on what female footballers should look like and how they should act. And it's like, if you claim not to care, don't get involved. We don't want you here.
Especially as in the positivity, I think 5,000 people turned up at the Telford Stadium. It was
sold out, wasn't it? It was fantastic.
And some people will say, "Oh, Man United always take fans away." These were not Man United fans. Wolves fans turned up in absolute droves.
Yes, they did.
And what was really pleasing as well afterwards was AFC Telford, obviously whose home ground it is. The men's team, who I believe are in the Conference North, they're around that kind of level of. They made a massive point of, we're proud to share our stadium with Wolves women, and we had an amazing day. And here is a video on the AFC Telford account, of sharing a wonderful day with these amazing women, and they did us proud, they did Wolves proud, and go and watch them as much as possible. We want as many people to come and watch them.
And that's what it means to be an ally.
That's it. That's the kind of thing that you need. Yeah. And I think the big thing says that we're not talking about Man United, because Man United turned up and went away again. We're talking about Wolves acquitting themselves incredibly well. Destiny Toussaint scared the hell out of Anna Sandberg for 70 minutes. Destiny Toussaint, who, by the way, when she's not a footballer, is a model, or certainly she was when she played for Coventry United. And one of the reasons, like several players, Beth Merrick, for example, and Amber Hughes, who used to play for Coventry United, and only aren't playing at championship level because they can't commit to full-time football. So, again, these are players of serious quality playing at that level, and deserve the chance to be full-time. And I think the fact afterwards that so many Wolves fans who perhaps hadn't seen the women's team before, or were aware of them and had done the whole "yay, go our women's team," but hadn't really got behind them, were tweeting things like, "Wow, these," yelling at the owners of the club, going, give these girls money. Make these girls full-time. They deserve it. They're representing Wolves with pride. They've really shown the best of our club, and the people watching it have shown the best of it. And they did. And it was a fantastic advert for the lower tiers of women's football as well. And a reminder, hey, outside the WSL and even the Championship, there are some amazing players.
Yeah, 100%. And you look at the further down the tiers you go, you're reminded almost, not that's completely gone in the women's game, but the love of the game and the love of the team and the support and the community and the feeling. And you just think that's exactly what every single person who I saw on social media, everyone just had really good things to say about the experience, no matter if they were a United fan, a Wolves fan. They said the stadium was brilliant, the hospitality was brilliant. The fact that was it the supporters club that took the "We Care" signs?
Yeah.
After all the crap that we're not going to talk about, people say people don't care about women's football. Yes, they do, and it was such a beautiful moment, almost, of everyone just sharing that moment and enjoying it together, which was really.
And again, it says something that we're not talking about Man United, because Wolves are the team that shone. Wolves are the team who people will remember from that game. I mean, we should point out the last 2 goals for Manchester United were scored by Mara Griffiths, who was an academy graduate making
I was going to say we need to talk about her. Yep.
A 17-year-old who came on and scored twice in her senior debut.
Yeah.
And again, good for her. but it's not her who will dominate it. It's not Man United who will dominate it. The people we need to talk about are Wolves, and the proof that if 5,000 people will turn up to watch a third-tier women's team, irrespective of the fact they're playing Man United, the vast majority of them were Wolves fans, and they were there to support Wolves, not to go and watch because Man United had come to town.
Yeah.
And Wolves are up at the top, battling for promotion to the Championship, along with Nottingham Forest, and Burnley, which is an absolutely incredible battle. We talk about the Championship, but the Women's National League North is also one to really keep an eye on.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, they've been in and around for a while as well, haven't they? Wolves have been sort of battling at the top end for a couple of years.
Trying to get that break, yeah.
Well, some would argue they have been one of the teams most screwed by the recent playoff system, because they were the last team to lose a playoff, because they lost when Southampton came up.
Yeah.
And the season after, it was right, we'll bring up North and South. And so they should be a championship team.
They should. I think they do very well as a championship team.
And it's just the stories. Like their manager, Danny McNamara, is a full-time serving RAF officer who has had times where he's been a month away from the touchline because he's been deployed. He's been on active service.
Isn't it? Yeah, I love it. No, I really do. But yeah, no, it was a fantastic moment for Mara Griffiths, as we said. It was really good to see Jace back on the pitch as well, after she's been away, of course, bereavement in the family. So it was a really good match for the good moments, and to see those special things that do still exist in football. So yeah, Wolves made such a good account of themselves, and as well, the losing teams at this stage still do get a good little chunk of money, don't they? Comparatively, for where they come from.
Not the Wolves need it with Fosun International as their owners. Again, it's one of those teams where if you ask Wolves fans, it's very much having the money and not spending it rather than needing the money to spend. But
hopefully,
again, our lower league correspondent Chris, keeping us up to date. Wolves winning 3-0 against Sporting Calcer.
Yep.
Sporting Calcer. Well, hey. So, and the Lincoln Derby is on tonight, hence my topical tag.
I was wondering what this.
Okay, so yeah, for those wondering, it's Lincoln United against Lincoln City Women. I haven't actually checked the score. I should probably do that now.
Is that in the league? Or?
Local derby. Yeah.
Is it a league match? This
they won. Lincoln United won 1-0.
Nice. Yeah, City are rock bottom, aren't they? I think they're having a nightmare.
They've only got a point. Yeah.
Was it played at the train shed, or was it played at Cinto Bank, the LNER Stadium, which apparently is nicknamed the train shed?
It's, you know what? It was the full name for it is like the Sunset Resort and Villa Stadium, which sounds wonderful until you realise there's no sunset, there's no sun resort.
It sounds like a retirement home.
It does, doesn't it? Yes, it does indeed. But yeah, no. So because the Lincoln Derby was on tonight, then I started singing the name game, which very old song. But if you watch American Horror Story Asylum, they start singing it, and in that, Lincoln is one of the names in the name game. So that's very niche. A very niche reference, but I thought it suited this evening. And Championship full time, Sunderland 2, Luton 0. Woohoo! Now, let's go to Chloe. We'll come to you next. Let's talk all things Arsenal versus London City, who actually didn't make it that easy for Arsenal, did they? So, talk us through this one, please.
Yeah, London City sort of quite resolutely in defence, sort of holding their own, soaking up the pressure. So they're doing quite well. Obviously, they're a team with big money backing with Michelle Kang, so they could have some star names, especially like Sophia Jacobson, who could have almost put the Lionesses in front. That feels weird to say Lionesses. Yeah, she sort of made a run from about halfway into sort of Arsenal's half. Then, obviously, facing Lotte Moy, took a step to the right to sort of open up that space and tried to sort of curl it into the bottom right corner, but unfortunately went just wide. So, yeah, could have been 1-0 to London City, but unfortunately, Arsenal finally sort of got their chance in the 32nd minute. They had Katie McCabe out on the right, sort of teed up Cara Coney cross to, funny enough, putting a cross in the box.
Karakuni's press.
Ended up to Leia Codina, who was just left in just way too much space, completely unmarked. So I had plenty of time to get her sort of header off, and it just sort of floated nicely over London City's goalkeeper Emily Orman. And that seemed to sort of perk them up a little bit, because they ended up, Marnham almost ended up scoring, but Emily Orman saved that one. And it was quite a funny moment with Cooney Cross. Arsenal was sort of playing it around, and Cooney Cross gets it outside the box, and all you hear is the fans going, "Shoot!" And normally when that happens, sometimes they may not shoot, but she went, "Yeah, fair enough, I'm going to go for it." And yeah, she did, but Orman made a save. And in fact, she made about 6 saves in this match, which after Beck Thomas's doesn't sound so much now, but that's still a fair bit, really. But yeah, it took a fair while for Arsenal to get the second goal and to sort of wrap up the win. It was about the 81st minute. Unfortunately, it was sort of London City's sort of defensive mix-up that sort of caused a downfall. You had Taya Goldie sort of playing the ball back to Orman. She ended up passing to Georgia Brome, who was immediately sort of put under pressure by Stina Blackstenius, and sort of ball ended up falling to Frida Marnham. She had a go. Her effort was saved, and then Stina was there and ended up scoring the second goal. And it was almost 3-0 because Mariana Caldente had a sort of effort in the box, and lucky for London City, sort of the crossbar came to the rescue. But they almost scored a goal sort of near the end. They had a free kick, I'd say a good distance outside the box. They had Chantal Boyhalorca, who many people know, sort of, I think I remember her when she played for Reading, which was a while ago. I think it might be Reading. I don't know. I might be getting confused with somebody else.
Definitely played for Villa. I can tell you that much.
Yeah, but she's been around a while. But yeah, she took a free kick, fed us away, and it just went over the bar, just a bit lower. If it had dipped just a bit, that would have been quite the goal for London City. And yeah, it ended 2-0, and yeah, it was interesting afterwards to see sort of Michelle Kang ended up having a bit of a word with Katie McCabe after the game. Maybe another player she's going to try and buy in. I don't know. We'll see. She's got limited money, really.
I mean, yeah. Fun fact, I was going to try and sing the Imperial March, but I always end up singing like the Funeral March instead, so I thought I'd maybe not. But yeah,
there we go.
There you go.
Yeah, but yeah, because rumours were Kang wanted McCabe at Lyon, weren't they? So, hey, do you think McCabe will go over to London City? Can you imagine? Oh, that'd be awful, wouldn't it?
Can you imagine the level of unlikableness?
It was just the fact she walked onto the pitch like, I'm going to own this in 5 minutes. It's just that look of entitlement, like I can speak to whoever I want to. Yes, thank you very much.
I'll
Katie
take this
McCabe.
one and this one and how about this one?
I like you and you. Yes, come to my team. Thank you very much.
Katie McCabe playing for a Michelle Kang team, though. Jeez.
So funny.
Like, it'd be like having to watch a combination of, it'd be like watching the Imperial bloody Star Wars, but the Stormtroopers win. Honestly. Just the whole rest of the league would just be the Rebel Alliance. Like, it's it makes me viscerally, you know when something just gives you a visceral ick, like a proper full-on fuck that for a lark. Just
when people ask for footballing icks, Paul, you've unlocked a new one. There we go.
Michelle Kang is the Madame Morrible of the championship. There's a reference.
Ooh, interesting analogy. Okay.
The what? The witch of the championship? Sorry, I was cringing inside out.
Madame Morrible from Wicked. It's okay. We'll find out who's got the grimory, and then we'll just make it work.
Kang the Merciless, just like
That's gotta be Kang.
Yeah, it's already put. Maybe that's why she kicked Roosh out so she could fit McCabe in.
We need. It's a shame. Just Katie McCabe just flattening someone and just playing "Gordon's alive" over the speakers when they get back up again.
Our version of reality is so much more fun.
I can see a reality show though as well. Katie and Kang coming soon to ITV6.
Katie and Kang go footballing.
Yeah.
Shitty Kang. Freya's speechless.
So good.
There you go. Quick, change the hashtag to shitty Kang. There you go. That's London City.
Oh my word.
That's it. How do you even segue from that and from
Kang.
shitty Kang? Like, what do we? How do we even go from there?
Just turning up in a team bus with a massive cage on the back with every player she wants to sign. Like, the player
the child's catcher comes out the back.
Lollipops. Come on. Katie. Just waved a yellow card at Katie McCabe. Come on. Yellow cards.
In here. Come on.
We'll pay your fines, Katie. You can tell anyone to fuck off you like, and we won't mind.
He'll bury it under the carpet. Come this way. Oh dear.
That's the hashtag next week. Just
you Kang.
Yeah.
We need, like Kung Kon Britain, like the spoof show. We need Kung Kon Kang. Would be a fantastic spoof documentary. Oh yeah, we need that to happen. So if Diane Morgan is watching,
do you reckon if they ever have a row, it'd be like with Katie McCabe's personality, it'd be like Godzilla versus Kang.
Queen Kang.
Oh, all of the references.
We're being very careful with that because that's dangerously close to something that is not football.
Yeah, no, I'm not sharing that. No.
So we're keeping away from that one.
And let's keep even further away from that one. Danny, please save us from the madness. Where can
if it's for me to save you, then we're in trouble. We are in trouble.
Actually, could you get Phil?
Phil.
Phil, you're up.
Phil, Kang wants you, Phil. Come on.
Oh God, Phil Neville as new London City manager if they don't get promoted. Oh my.
Or maybe that could be the dream. Maybe it could. But yeah, Danny. Now we've had a lot of comments in the chat. I'm not gonna lie. When this popped up, I read it as Jane McDonald, and I got very excited that Jane was in the chat. So I do apologise, Jane. But your comment
Dream
was
the impossible dream.
Might be.
On a different note, did you know Jane McDonald, right, does actual cruises where she is the entertainment on the cruises?
Yep.
She like runs a cruise, does she?
Oh.
Yeah. There's one going on in October this year.
I love that Chloe knows that.
Because I
Me
was
and another Chloe were talking about it, and we were like, "Oh my god, we need to go and see Jay McDonald." But no, Jade McDonald, her cousin, said rugby were the MVPs of the round. I honestly thought there was a shock happening. Yes, us too, Danny. So talk us through this one, please.
Just watching Paul's face as he reads that. Paul was rejoicing at this result. Rugby 0, Liverpool 2. I will explain a little bit. Paul, you can jump in if you want to explain why. But so rugby were originally founded as Coventry City Ladies, I believe, in 2013, merged with Coventry United to form Coventry United Ladies in 2015, and then Coventry United Women later on. They got relegated from the Championship, and then Coventry United's association ended, and they relocated to rugby to form a kind of new club, but it kind of, I don't know where the kind of history lies, Paul, or whether it's just there was a complete blanket cut off. And
just basically that Rugby Borough. You explained it pretty much perfectly, but in Coventry there is generally how am I putting this politely? Because when you're talking about people being sued, the departure was acrimonious from Coventry because the owner, Lewis Taylor, said that it was because Coventry didn't care about its women's team, which is, again, Alan Brazil levels of bullshit, because they got up near 500. And Coventry United are trained at Rugby Borough, who are not even the main team in rugby. They're the second team in rugby, because Rugby Town are the team with the big stadium, which of course is relative, but still with the big stadium. And Rugby Borough are a community club who had a men's team who play in the same level as Coventry United men, and basically said, we'll have your team and assume your league position. Because, which I think was a loophole because they didn't actually have a women's team themselves. So the FA rules are normally, if you move and assume the identity of another team, you take the lower team's league position. So if Michelle Kang decided to go full Death Star and buy Chelsea, for example, then Chelsea would automatically be a championship team this season.
Could you imagine? Do it for the drama.
Causing chaos.
But
okay.
But it's so there was some acrimony over where it left, and Lewis Taylor has continued to make promises about having a £1 million women's football centre there and developing the site and stuff, which, as we saw on Sunday, hasn't happened and probably won't happen for a while because rugby is about 20 miles from Coventry. Most people will not travel to watch it. Like the public transport links are horrific as well. So they basically managed to lose the fan base they built in Coventry after the people of Coventry had clubbed together to save them and all sorts.
Yeah.
And so that means I have very complicated feelings about Rugby Borough because there are a bunch of wonderful people there who they basically took the whole club lock, stock and barrel. So Lee Birch was the Coventry United manager and went with them. Shan Osmond, who's the assistant manager, went with him. A chunk of the players are still there, and some of them were part of the Coventry United Great Escape, and I covered them personally and stuff. But I feel like Wimbledon must feel about MK Dons with them. So I can acknowledge the performance, which Danny will tell us about now, but I can't. I'm happy Liverpool win.
Yeah, it was a good performance. Like overall, I thought rugby were pretty calm. Like they looked quite a mature team in terms of the way they handled it. They didn't look like they were kind of stepping off and sort of concerned about facing a team like Liverpool. They looked like they were wanting to step up, and Liverpool took a long time to get the win. It looked like for all anything, I don't know what the words are, for anyone's business, that they might just take them to extra time. Who knows what could have happened there. but Liverpool had the chances early on. Taylor Hines had a free kick that caused a bit of a scramble. We all love a scramble, but they can't put it in. Sophie Roman-Hogg then hit the post. And sort of as the game went on, you got a little bit more of a feeling of panic around Liverpool more than rugby. Almost, it was Liverpool who were the ones that were kind of thinking, "Oh, hold on a minute, we're not going to come here and win 5 or 6-0. We need to get a goal here." And they're just like, as the time ticked away, it did feel like anything could happen at that point. I want to pick out Angelina Nixon for rugby, who, I don't know if you've seen it, she got the ball on the halfway line at one point and just charged towards goal, beat 2 or 3 players, and then forced a really good save from Rachel Laws. And that could have been one of those FA Cup moments that might have been. It was, you're just watching it and you think, this is one of those moments they're going to play back over and over again if she'd have scored it and put them in front, but not quite to be for that. Leanne Kiernan then hit the bar, bounced right down on the line, and again they're just getting more and more panicky, but they do get the breakthrough with, I think it was about 10 minutes to go. Marie Herbinger, a lovely strike just after the Kiernan shot. Mia Enderby then hit one in stoppage time from Herbinger's pass, so that was 2-0, and that was it. But yeah, really difficult game for Liverpool, one that they would have gone into it thinking, maybe we can rotate a few players and come through easily, but actually they had a really good scrap on their hands, so they only just really realised it in the last 15 minutes or so when they started to kick in. Yeah,
no, because it was, sorry Danny.
That's all right. It's just because there was an interesting statement from Lewis Taylor afterwards, after the game, about on Twitter. He was talking about B teams and the platforms and stuff. He was saying, let's find it actually, because he was saying, because there's been this talk about B teams for WSL teams going into the lower leagues and stuff.
Yes, I think I saw this one that you said. Yeah,
and so he was saying
about the B teams and like actually entering the league, and that would help. And it's like, no, there are so many teams already out there.
Yeah, I don't understand where people think B teams are going to help the system at all, like in terms of the whole footballing community and stuff. Like teams like I support on Northampton will be wrecked because you're going to you're getting, who you're playing this week, Chelsea B. Okay, great, yeah, brilliant. How's that going to help anything in terms of building up? It's not. So Lewis Taylor, the chairman of rugby, was on Twitter afterwards. He said 2 key learnings for the FA after this weekend's FA Cup games. 1, give us a bigger platform / more opportunity and we will rise to it. And the takeaway is that B team integration will just do the complete opposite. Number 2, there's great quality in tier 3. Takeaway being the expanding the top 2 tiers and eventually a single tier 3 would give the players, fans and clubs what they want. And I think eventually, hopefully that's the thing that it comes to, instead of throwing B teams in, let's just have a bit of thought around what the top divisions do actually look like, because there's a lot of quality out there, like we saw again with Wolves, and a lot of potential. Teams like Nottingham Forest, Ipswich have done well, Burnley, there's teams that are really investing in the women's game. So yeah, I completely agree with them on that.
100%, because then you'll get teams that can't, they can barely afford players for their first team, never mind trying to do a B team and trying to compete in all of these different things. And it's like, if we've got the academy teams, haven't we? We've got the PGA tournaments, we've got, if you really want B teams, then maybe have a B league. But then that doesn't make any sense when you've got all of the teams that currently exist. So I fully agree with that one. Thank you very much. Right, Chloe, we're going to come back to you because we need to talk about Chelsea 4, Everton 1, and Everton got the lead. They almost could have done something, couldn't they? But yeah, talk us through this one, please.
Yeah, they took the lead about 70 minutes in. It's a goal you don't often see, really. Sarah Holmgard was taking the corner and literally scored straight from the corner, which was just quite
beautiful. The shock on their faces was incredible. I loved it.
Like, what?
It was proper whip on it as well. She properly,
it was
Roberta Carlos style.
Yeah,
it was properly good. But unfortunately, about sort of 20 minutes later or so, we got back to reality. Ashley Lawrence was brought down sort of in the box by Everton's Emma Watson. Then Katarina Macario was the one taking a penalty, sort of put it put it down low to the left. Courtney Brosnan did guess the right way, but unfortunately it's just too far for her to get to. And that apparently is Macaria's third penalty goal this season, which is, I think she might be the sort of known penalty taker for Chelsea, and she can definitely convert them, so that's for sure. Second goal was sort of added time in the first half. Lawrence tried to sort of pick out Macario with a bit of a long pass, but then sort of bounced off an Everton player, went to Erin Cuthbert, who sort of did the same, but played it sort of over everybody, which managed to fall to Myra Ramirez. She took one touch, sort of around the box, and then the second one just completely lobbed. Don't know if it's like a floaty out. Verdi's out on that, but yeah, she just lobbed it over Courtney Brosnan, and it went in. And that was 2-1 in the first half. And then, second half, Ramirez almost scored again, but was well defended by a certain former Chelsea player, Mary Mielder, which was good to see her sort of in action for Everton so soon. So it's good to see her back in the league. Just maybe not the right blue, but there we go. Yeah, Chelsea pretty much put the game to bed in the 71st minute. Had Lauren James over a free kick, which managed to find Ramirez, and then she sort of went to head it, but then unfortunately hits the post, goes across, and then there's Micah Romano just taps in. It was only 2 minutes after she was subbed on, so that's what you call an impact sub. Then Chelsea sort of had a few attempts at trying to get a fourth with Beaver Jones, assisting, and Mike Romano trying to get another goal, and Beaver Jones make another run, which ended up where she was brought down by Lucy Hope, and once again another penalty. Macaria had been subbed off, so it was down to Sandy Baltimore, and she went the opposite way to where Macaria went. And again, Brosnan went the right way, but just it was too far and too low, which for goalies is just an absolute nightmare to try and, if it's far down low or far down up high, no chance for goalkeepers, unfortunately. But yeah, that made it 4-1, and I mean, was probably the predictable result, really. And I mean, they could have had more, but Courtney Brosnan was the one sort of keeping the score down for Everton, making 7 saves, with Hampton having made no saves at all in the match, which is quite interesting stat. And Chelsea had 11 shots on target against Everton's only 1 on target. So yeah, it was probably a predictable result, and it'll be interesting to see how they do this weekend, playing them again.
Yeah, it's not fair on Everton, that, isn't it? 2 weeks in a row down at Kingsmeadow. Might as well just stay there for the week, to be honest, rather than doing it. But yeah, 4-1, annoyingly no FA Cup magic in that one. After that almost magical start, almost for Everton. But again, this Everton side is, coming on leaps and bounds, isn't it, compared to the one that started the season. So yeah, perfect. Thank you, Chloe, for that one. All right then. Oh, Tony in the chat said, no, Wrighton's penalty taker, of course, but she wasn't on the pitch or in the Real Madrid game when she took the other 2 penalty kicks. So there you go. Hey, Tony, fact checker in the chat. Thank you very much. Perfect. That's what we like. Right then, Paul, we'll come back to you. Man City 3, Leicester 1. Again, not much, nothing really out of the ordinary. Bunny back doing bunny things, of course. But yeah, could Leicester have done anything else, or was it pretty standard game, do you think?
It was fairly standard. Leicester had clearly tried to set up to frustrate Man City, but unfortunately for them, they were up against a Man City side who, for whatever reason, looked very motivated indeed. And I think we need to pay tribute to Bunny Shaw, who was back on the pitch, but
yes,
she still wasn't quite herself in the sense of the imperious Bunny Shaw wasn't there. There are some players in there you can tell when they're on because, like you say, they're doing Bunny things or they're doing Myra Ramirez things, and it's not going and scoring goals. It's little things like with their back to goal, bullying their way past a centre back with the first time they receive the ball, and just being a physical force. Wanting the ball and the ball almost being drawn to them, and that wasn't happening with Bunny Shaw in the way it does when she was fully on, and when she did get the ball, it wasn't even conservativeness. It was just a slight. She seemed like she was playing a bit within herself, and that's fully understandable with the stuff that's happened to her recently. It was like she was trying to play herself back into remembering how awesome football was, and just like, right, I just want to get through this game. I'm here. I want to get through it and get back to playing football and forget about all the other stuff. But it had affected her a bit, but not in any notable way for Man City as a whole. And first goal, Laila Wahhabi, scoring with a goal with that she always looked surprised because it kind of broke to her about 14, 12, 13, 15 yards out with a bit of space. And she hit the kind of shot that even in the playground you'd look and go, really? How's that gone in? It seems to take an absolute age to roll down low past Janina Leipzig in goal. And it was kind of like, okay, has Leipzig just not seen that? Has she been deceived by the pace? Was she expecting a fastball and got a knuckleball? Is that why she's kind of dropped a little low to it?
Yeah.
And then the way Wahhabi kind of threw her arms up, it was almost slight surprise, but also, yay, I've scored. How did that happen? Kind of thing. And then, settle in, everybody, for I shall tell you a tale of something truly wonderful. The second Man City goal from Caroline. Oh, I very rarely use this phrase, but I will in this particular phrase. Oh my days! Like it's one of those goals. If you haven't seen it, go and watch the highlights because it's one of those goals that the first time you see it, your brain refuses to compute. It's like a literal. How has she done that? How has that gone from there to there? Like
I'm gonna have to watch it again while it's talking. Yeah,
and so the ball is played out to Caroline on the left side, and she is confronted by, I think it was CJ Bott. It was a Leicester defender definitely, and I'm gonna have to go and look up Leicester squad numbers now to be 100% sure because I want to get this description exactly right. I think it was CJ Bott.
I also think CJ Bott is the coolest name. Like, it should be like DJ.
It sounds like a villain in a Roald Dahl novel.
It sounds like someone Kang would love to sign.
No, stay away.
Get me CJ Bott.
On the double.
Get me CJ Bott, the perfect player, CJ Bott. She is in fact a bot. I don't know. Just
are we okay? Right.
Kang just thinks she's some sort of cyborg or something. Right, let's see if we can eventually get through all the.
Seen that goal.
To see this one, I wish we could actually play it. I believe it was CJ Bott, who was back defending on that side because it was a number with a 4 in it, and she's the only player who's wearing a 4. So the ball is played to Caroline on the left-hand edge of the penalty area, and she does that lovely thing that wingers do, where they just kind of sidestep, like they square up and face the defender, but just kind of sidestep with the ball, just kind of knock it and like step overs, as if they want to go forward, but they're stepping sideways and just almost daring the defender to put in a challenge.
Yeah, I've just watched it, and you're just like, yeah, you're right. How?
The first time you watch it, it just kind of happens. You're like, how? And CJ Bott, to be fair, is defending beautifully. She's positioning herself and trying to shepherd Caroline towards the byline to force her to put a cross in. And Caroline just kind of sidesteps and sidesteps and sidesteps, and then goes, right, I've had enough of this now. Takes 2 steps, and without any backlift or any noticeable swing at the ball, takes like a loft wedge to it and just lifts it up and over and back down over Leipzig at the near. Leipzig is at the near post with her arms up. There's 7 foot of goalie expecting this, and Caroline just somehow manages to levitate the ball and bend time and space, break the laws of physics. Forget Emma Watson, the only flipping magician, the only wizard happening is Caroline in the WSL, and it goes up and then drops back down again, almost as if she's put backspin on it, and just drops into the far corner.
Yeah, it's unreal.
It's like a close range floaty lob. Almost.
Is that a new category?
Yeah, it's the kind of it defies categorization. It's just a moment of pure genius.
Yeah.
I enjoyed her little bow as well afterwards.
Yes.
It was very pull from the traitors going on there.
Very Brazilian. I remember a commentary of a Richarlison bicycle kick in the World Cup with like 14 passes back and forth and dancing around, and then Richarlison flicks it up and bicycle kicks it into the top corner, and the commentary just goes, "That is Brazil." And that can be, if you were designing a Brazilian player scoring a goal, that is the kind, just that almost beach football arrogance with which he lifts it over Leipzig.
Yeah, with like not even like a care in the world, just I can do it.
So yep, I'm doing that.
Yeah, it's just the sheer joy of I can do this. Why not?
Yeah, let me go for it because I know I'm probably going to do it. Yeah, good.
Because I am her, as the kids say.
Wow. Yeah, I think in fact we may not say CJ, but I think it might have been asked me to ale on that side.
Well, whoever it was, they will be having nightmares about it because
you can see I just look at it and just watch it go in like, what?
Yeah. Like the Leicester players just kind of turn away and go, how? What has just happened?
Yeah, how has that gone in? Yeah.
And
you think when you're up against that magic, it's okay.
As Freya will be waking up, seeing that ball drop over Unina Leipzig and screaming at in 6 months' time. She'll just fall asleep on a random day in June and wake up screaming, seeing that ball drop over the top of Leipzig and still going, how? And after all that almost took the wind out of Leicester. It was like, how are we going to deal with this? And Man City were fairly comfortable in control. And then another bit of wing wizardry from Alba Fugino in the second half. Takes on a fullback. Gorgeous whipped cross to the back post. And Bunny Shaw rising like a salmon over the defenders. There you go. I'm getting all the football cliches in here. Rising like a salmon. Just bang, heads it home. But again, knowing that it wasn't really, it was almost relief that she'd scored. There wasn't any of the fizz and the and the happiness of it was just, oh, job done. You know, it looked wrong. It's the kind of celebration you expect from Viv Miedemar, but you don't expect it from Bunny Shaw. Just the kind of, we've scored. And from that moment, it kind of killed the game until the 82nd minute, where Leicester had a rare attack down the right side, and Nelly Lasova thumped one into the corner. Like there was fury in that one. There was frustration in that one. There was proper full on thing. Yeah, it's
magnificent.
It's the kind of goal poems would be written about. Like it's the kind of goal, if you're live, you'll sit and go, oh, I remember when Caroline did that.
Yeah. In fact, we should write a sonnet about the moment. I think that'd be quite fitting.
It deserved a far bigger stage than here at the Troy Stadium for a third round FA Cup tie.
I don't know if this is the moment. Me and other Chloe Bear were chatting, saying that because he says it so much, there should be, you know, when you can enter like a voucher code, it should be like Gareth 10 for 10% off. As it always comes up. Yeah, sorry, Paul. I digress.
Just Arsenal loan players. They just put in Gareth 10 and they can pick whichever Manchester City player he's pissed off this week. Like, little bit of controversy there.
You never.
But it says something that the game itself. I've probably talked about the rest of the game itself for about 2 minutes, but I've talked about Caroline's goal for 7 or 8, just because it's one of the things you can't help but wax lyrical about.
Yeah.
And apart from that, job done for Man City. They were through. They did the job, and now they have to play Chelsea 47 times in 38 days or something.
Well, so one of the questions, Lucky 666, hey, lucky for some. Thoughts on City playing Chelsea 4 times in 12 days? Boring. It just, I mean, it has to be done, but you think, why? I mean, yeah. Paul, Danny, any thoughts on?
It's like the FA Cup. This is the trouble with women's football. At a certain point, and I said this, and once again, apparently I only said this because I'm bitter and Manchester United beat Coventry City in a game nearly 2 years ago now. That apparently I'm still bothered about. But I made the point of saying
regularly on the pod.
The trouble about games like the trouble about women's football is it's going the way men's football went when the Premier League came in, just a lot more quickly. The rich are getting richer, and the money men and women are coming in, and like you say, the stuff like Wolves, where you've got the community clubs and the people caring about the community clubs and the pure love of the game, is being sucked out about it. So it's why we cling on to goals like Caroline's, because those are the joyous moment of, isn't football bloody great?
Yeah.
And a lot of that is being sucked out of it, to the point where now the FA Cup is, oh great, it's going to be one of the big 4 winning it, probably, unless there's a big shot. But speaking of that, unlike the DFB Pokal, the German Cup, where it will have a new winner for the first time since 2017.
Wow. Okay.
Because Wolfsburg are out at quarter-final stage.
Yeah, we spoke about that on the very first couple of minutes. I don't know if you there for that, Paul? We talked about it.
No, I was late, and Emma, I managed to get away with that. Emma telling me afterwards.
Yeah. Because I was saying, incidentally, I just turned on the Bayern match against Frankfurt, and they were winning until the 90th minute when Bayern equalised. And yeah, but that's exciting though. Like it's something new, it's something fresh that keeps it interesting.
You know, I don't want to see Man City play Chelsea 4 times and then play them in the FA Cup final as well. I want to see Sunderland beat Man United. I want to see Villa go through. I want the stories of these are two teams who have their chance to win the FA Cup for the first time, rather than, oh, this is the one that they don't care about because they want to win the Champions League.
Because you just feel like it means more. I mean, I know Chelsea fans in the chat, obviously you want to win the trophies and you want to, go the whole way. But you just think if you're in the same tournaments again and again and again, does some of the magic decrease because you're in them so much? And it's just like another final. Whereas other teams that don't get there very often, it just means so much more. And I know football doesn't work like that, but it would just be...
Look what it did for Spurs last season as well.
Yeah,
it had Robert Villaham. Was he a fan event, wasn't he, at Wembley during the morning of the final and things like that? And I was so gutted that Tottenham didn't do it. But that's the kind of thing you want, isn't it? A bit more about different teams in the finals, different teams in the semi-finals.
Yeah, rising to the occasion. Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. And then just having giving their fans the chance to kind of dream about it. And I know I'd say with the 4 games, just play once, winner takes all. Just play one game.
Yeah. Best of one.
because like Emma says, these clubs are always complaining about the calendar in shape.
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
Okay, be one a bit more shit.
Yeah. Yeah. Stop winning.
Stop. Yeah. You don't need, if you wouldn't play 4 games in 12 days if you weren't in 4 competitions in 12 days. Yeah. Pick one and go for that one.
Yeah.
Because it comes to, I know you don't want to say, you're in Champions League, don't go for another one, but it could even be something like for the FA Cup or even for the League Cup. If you're in Champions League, you don't need just you can choose, you can opt out if you want to of that competition. They never will, I know, but if it's an option, for those clubs who are so congested, it just, because something has to be done. I don't know what, but they're for the people who get paid a lot more than we do. But you just think something's got to give, because again, for them, for the players playing each other 4 times, how do you get it to be exciting and interesting? And it's like, oh, them again. Right,
it's like people don't care. Well, they do, but it's only the media who really cares and really gets excited about the big games after a certain point. And the great thing about those big games is they used to be, the Merseyside derby is twice a season, or maybe 3 times a season, if the 2 teams get drawn together. They're events each time. Chelsea playing Manchester City or Arsenal is not an event now.
No.
It's that's going to be a good game, but it's okay. If it's not that good, there's another one along in 2 weeks.
Yeah, if we don't win this one, it's all right. There's another one. And it's hard because as professional footballers as well, obviously you want to give your all, but they can't keep playing the same starting 11, same tactics, same this, same that. I mean, they might shake it up a bit. Who knows?
It's like Emma says as well. With don't make it a choice. If you're in the Champions League, you're out, because no
for Gretchen Wieners. Bye.
the League Cup is silly anyway, and it's devalued because the big teams only have to play 3 games to win it. That's a pre-season tournament.
Yeah, it's just
by those standards.
And if you think all the lower ones who've got to come from first round proper, qualifying
rounds,
yeah. And you just think all of those games to get through, who don't have the squad depth, who don't have the team to do it, winning the 3 games is
because the WSL teams, the other WSL teams have to play their fixture congestion with the group games, and people will say, "Oh, it devalues the competition if you don't have to beat Chelsea or Arsenal or whatever else on the way through." Most of the time, you don't in a cup. It's a random draw.
Yeah.
Manchester United are through to the quarterfinals of the FA Cup without really playing a team who could possibly have given them any sort of test, and they'll still give it stacks about we're in the quarterfinals of the FA Cup. Yeah, but you didn't really do anything, did you, to get there?
Yeah, because I suppose because it is so mixed now. So unless they do a proper, I don't know, but then it would be seeded, and then it would be, just a different way. Because again, we're going to talk about the draw when we finish these next couple of matches. But it feels like again, all the big teams aren't against each other, so we're not going to have anyone new into that. But we'll keep that. We'll keep that for next. So yeah, we've got two more, haven't we? Two more games to get through. So. Penultimate game will come to me for this one. So this was Portsmouth 0, Sunderland 2, thankfully. So yes, Sunderland coming away with the win on this one. Now we've talked in recent weeks about Portsmouth, finding a bit of rhythm, finding a bit of form. Could they do something? Could they come up with some FA Cup magic? However, it wasn't to be. So for this one, Katie Kitchen was back in the Sunderland squad. How they've missed her, because she just missed out getting her name on the score sheet. So this was about 34th minute. Up until then, nothing much in it at all. Sunderland looking the more dominant though. Kitchen made an initial driving run down the left, cut inside, went for goal. It would have been beautiful. However, Pompey's keeper, Hannah Poulter, had a bit of a mishmash of a game. Poulter did, and I'll explain in a bit why. She was there to deflect the initial danger, parried it away. However, poor clearance by the Portsmouth defence meant the ball landed at Jenna Dia's feet just on the edge of the box and wasted no time shooting, and eventually found the back of the net for 1-0. 10 minutes later, so right at the end of the first half, again, it was another mix-up in the Portsmouth defence. They attempted a long ball because there was no way they were getting through that Sunderland midfield. It was intercepted, flicked back on by the head of Mary McAteer, who had a very good game, by the way, and into the path of Emily Scarr. Taps it forward, and Bromley... not the place, Bromley the player. I'm not trying to get attention to everything, I promise. Bromley the player goes to head it away, but misses it completely, so leaves it open for Scarr to shoot past Poulter, making it 2-0. However, I don't know if anyone saw this bit. Poulter was a bit angry, as you can imagine, a bit frustrated, and her and Emily Scarr are both on the floor at this point. And as Scarzy goes to get up, it looks like Hannah Poulter kind of kicks out and Emily Scarr ends up on the floor again. Now, nothing much was made of it through the players, so it might have been a trick of the camera, but it did very much look like she kicked out to stop her getting up. But nothing was done about it. So that was 2-0 going into the second half. In the second half, though, nothing much home to write about. Those words did not come out of my mouth in the right order. Nothing
much to write about home.
Nothing much home to write about.
It's 14.2%. That's why. Dear me. Right, okay. Whew, I'll start singing in a minute. Nothing much to write home about. Hey, there we go. No clear-cut chances at either end, but it was quite scrappy. And that all came to a lovely conclusion with a red card. Now, this was Scarlett Williams. It was her second yellow of the match, and it came from a bad foul on Jessica Brown as she broke away down the right wing. And again, could have created a great chance. However, Williams insisted there was no contact with the player. It was purely on the ball, but it was right in front of the lino, unfortunately. So she was sent off in the 89th minute. Now, another name Sunderland fans were happy to see, Brianna Westrup was back. It was her first 90 minutes since suffering a broken leg at the start of the season, and she almost scored the third goal. She was at the back post following a corner, but Poulter, in one of her stronger saves of the game, was there to deny her. So yeah, Sunderland through 2-0 against Portsmouth. So our last one, Danny, we're finishing with you because this was quite squeaky bum time, wasn't it? for a long time. This was Crystal Palace 2, Newcastle 0. But we had a hope Palace would do it, didn't we?
Yeah, I was hoping they'd do it a little bit easier than this, but they did it in the end. Our favourites, my favourites of the WSL, Crystal Palace, got a good win against Newcastle. I think you can still call it a good win with the way Newcastle have spent in the Championship as well. But again, like the other game as well, like the Rugby Liverpool, Palace had to be patient in the game. I think it never really looked like they were under that much threat to lose it, but you get the feeling, don't you, when you get games like that and you get chance after chance goes begging and you think, is it really going to be our day? Are they going to nick one at the other end?
Yeah.
But Palace, this is booked their first ever FA Cup quarter-final. And this is exactly what we were talking about a minute ago, wasn't it? The type of teams we want to see in the later rounds of the FA Cup.
Yes.
This is great for them. This is obviously they're beating a Championship team, but to get the win, to get the goals, to get the performance that they did, I think is really, really good, really strong for them. And obviously a bit of history to go with it as well, which is great. Again, the type of story you want to see. And she named a strong squad, strong side, Laura Kaminsky. They had new signings, Rhea Erling, Alison Swaby with their debuts. Amy Everett's out, though. She looks like she's going to be out long term. She got injured at Brighton a couple of weeks ago, and she looks like it's not looking good for her at the moment. So that's not good news. Ashley Weirden, she was a frustrated figure for most of the game. She had one of these games where you just try to score and it doesn't go in. It doesn't go in. She has crosses in that doesn't work, and she looked a little bit frustrated by the end of it. By sort of the time she scored, so she was all over the place. She was creating a lot. Looks like a really someone who can really rely on in the second half of the season. Our old friend Annabelle Blanchard hit the post with their best chance of the first half, and Katie Stengel had a couple of chances, but again they can't put them away. It didn't look like they were going to get it. But then they hit the bar. Mila Guile hit the bar with a great effort from long range, but then they did get the breakthrough with about 10 minutes left. And Weirden got a goal, breaks the deadlock. Abby Larkin on the right hand side had a really good game. She crossed and David and put it in. So after that, they kind of settled a little bit. And then they got another one in the 94th minute. Blanchard found Larkin on the right hand side, and she sort of hit one that was deflected in past Moen in the Newcastle goal. So 2-0 to Palace, and big news in injury time, which sort of brings me to my hashtag somewhere. I can't see my screen. Elise Hughes back in injury time. She hasn't played since April 2024. Got an ACL injury towards the end of that Championship season. One of my favourite players from the Championship last season. I was absolutely gutted when she missed out. Sort of when she got that injury and I knew that she wasn't going to be starting the WSL season. I thought she was the epitome of a WSL striker. So if they it's great to have her back. She's straight back into the Wales squad as well for the upcoming games in the Nations League. So hopefully she's fit enough now to start getting a run of games. And if they can get her back to how she was last season, that gives them an absolutely huge weapon up front to go alongside what they've got already. In terms of the WSL season, I still believe that they can get out of it. They've with her back as well. She just provides so much going forward, and hopefully this boosts them in the league as well. But great to see them in the quarterfinals.
Because really what a miss Elise Hughes has been, and all the stuff that she's been posting about her recovery and finally coming back. And again, it's that community feeling, isn't it? Like that proper football, like magic of return to the pitch, and this is what it means. And that's why I know you said they're your favourites, but definitely team pod favourite with Palace, because they're the type of team that we want them to stay up, and they've like you said, they've got a chance, haven't they?
And they haven't changed their style in the WSL either, which I worried that they might do coming into it. They haven't changed what they do and who they are, which has been really honourable for Laura Kaminsky and what she's doing. There's still a battle there, still a battle to be won, so there's every chance they can get out of it with Hughes at the top.
Yes, a battle to be won, and we have full faith that it can. Now, we said we're going to talk about the quarter-final ties, which will be played on the weekend of the 9th of March. So whether that's 8th or 9th, we don't quite know yet. Now, I did have a graphic, and I'm just checking, because I was just going to share the Instagram post, that no one's offensive, because all the comments come up when you've got it on the screen. So everyone looks fine. So let's do this then, shall we? So here are the quarterfinal ties. So We've got, can we see that, by the way?
We can now. We got the spinny bit, but now we can.
Good. Okay, so we've got City versus Villa, of course, Chelsea versus Crystal Palace, United versus Sunderland, and Arsenal versus Liverpool. Now, it would have been so nice if it was like Villa Palace, Sunderland, Liverpool, and then the others got each other, because then it would mean someone new, wouldn't it? Would get into this.
Or even like a worst case scenario, even those games switched rounds for the away teams to be at home, because this way round it's not good. It's not the way you want it, is it, at all?
It's just feeding into the hands of the bigger teams, isn't it? Which again, it's random. It's picked from a hat, we know, but sometimes it just doesn't feel like it.
It's picked from Mark Skinner's hat.
Yeah. A lauded hat, like, yes, that's the lowest ranked team. Because of course, Sunderland, only non-WSL side, still in it, of course. So wouldn't it be a bit of magic if they nicked one right at the end? That would be so good. Paul, what do you make of the draw?
It doesn't help the conspiracy theories, does it? The big four, all at home. All avoiding each other.
Yeah.
Although I suppose that's because Chelsea and Manchester City have reached the limit of what people will tolerate at this point. But, there's still the universe, there's still Arsenal, there's still... You could still have put Manchester City versus Arsenal. You could still have put Chelsea versus Arsenal. That would have been fun for everybody else.
It's just such a shame, isn't it? Because there was a potential there for some really, really good draws.
The trouble is, it sounds horrifically disrespectful to the other four teams, but it's not meant with disrespect. But let's face it, most people who watch women's football will have looked at those ties and straight away gone, "All right, big four semi-final then, yay!"
Yeah, and how many people have lost interest essentially because of the underdog's not going to do it. Obviously we have hope, of course, but looking at it, the odds aren't great, are they?
The FA Cup needs what the FA Cup needs is Sunderland to beat Man United. It needs maybe Palace to beat Chelsea or Villa to beat Man City.
Yeah, it needs a moment, doesn't it, like that, when you've got the pitch invasions and the mascots flying about everywhere, and
because it hasn't had them.
Yeah,
the Women's FA Cup just hasn't had it.
It needs the iconic moments, doesn't it?
It needs your Vonnie Radford 30-yarder. It needs Keith Houchin diving header that the Sky Blues fan have to get right in there. It needs Wigan winning. It needs Mickey Thomas for Wrexham. It needs something
iconic,
something that makes people care who aren't the fans of those four teams, where you can go on and say, hey, this is the first big Women's FA Cup final moment that will be getting played in highlight montages for years when women's FA Cup match of the day starts. Maybe iconic commentary is a bit optimistic given the standard of commentary on women's football, but just a moment
Eleanor Dale 30 yards top corner,
yes,
against United.
Annabelle Blanchard waltzing. Annabelle Blanchard going full Vicky Villa, just dancing through the Chelsea defense.
Dancing past Lucy Bronze, Millie Bright,
red hair flying as she just cracks it into the top corner. Although admittedly the backdrop of Kingsmeadow is probably not quite as the trouble is as well, some of the backdrops as well aren't exactly quite as inspiring, but at the same time they are, because they've got that proper shitty lower league ground vibe to them. If it's
we've got we'll have hashtag the Joy Stadium, Kings Meadow, LSV, and of course Meadow Park, won't we?
Imagine if you get one of those events but happening at Eppleton. So you get.
I really wanted Chelsea at Eppleton.
You get people going absolutely that Eleanor Dale 30-yarder, but people going, a bunch of Mackhams going absolutely insane behind the goal
Yeah.
and
just
doing
charging him.
Yes.
Oh.
In fact, Ant will start running now at the prospect of that. Oh, I would love that. But that's what it needs, isn't it? It needs that reaction, needs that iconic moment.
This for Sunderland to beat Man United would be the dream of this podcast, wouldn't it?
That would be insane.
It would just be lovely.
But I think as well, it's because, like we said, it's interesting, Danny, that you see straight away on it needs that iconic moment because, like I said, I went, okay, what is the women's FA Cup iconic moment? Like, if you're thinking of the competition and going, right, okay, what is the moment that you can look at and go, yeah, that when I think of the women's FA Cup, I think of that. There's nothing.
Yeah, it's true.
No, nothing stands out.
Not even from the big teams. Like even if you look at the big teams, there's Gerrard's 30-yarder in the Gerrard final, for example, in the men's game. If you want, if you're thinking of stuff like that. The women's game, what have you got? Erin Cuthbert scoring for Chelsea against Manchester United. Oh, great! So no disrespect. It was probably great for West London, and it looked. I remember saying at the time it looked quite impressive because it was the first time you'd properly had ends at Wembley.
Yeah.
So Cuthbert cracked that in, and you saw, massed ranks of blue raising behind it. But you're not even going to get any of that.
No. I mean, like Emma says, Villa beating City in extra time. I've seen a few Villa fans actually saying, you know what, we've beaten them before. Why can't we do it again? And I think there's a couple of matches where you think, maybe, like if Liverpool pull off a brilliant performance and really step up and really go for it, maybe they can get something. Villa, again, if they show up, and maybe if City don't, because they've got so many games on, maybe Villa could do it. But yeah, the one we hope for, Sunderland winning at United, that would be incredible. I might try and see if they do the games on a Saturday and a Sunday, because the Villa and Sunderland are both in Manchester. Try and go to both. That would be like the perfect weekend of attending. Magic FA Cup weekend.
Demi Campbell could do a Jim Montgomery, can't she? Surely. The classic flying save.
Hey, when she's on form, she maybe. Hey, we'll go for it. Positive vibes only. That's what we go for.
I think the main problem with the FA Cup is all of that will only last until, if it goes the other way, all of this positive talk will only last until the home team in any one of those scores the first goal. Then everyone's just like, all right, okay.
Yeah.
If it's half time, if it's half time and it's 1-0 to the 4 home teams, for example, everyone's going to be going, all right, okay, we're already thinking about which boring semi-final combination it'll be. The only groups that really benefit from this are the media, because they can claim to be caring about other teams when really they're only interested in showing the big 4
for the bigger ones. Yeah.
At least it gives us something to root for in each game, though, doesn't it? Like we know we know who we want to win in every game, so good.
Yeah, exactly.
Is it straight to extra time in these ones? So it's no replays, is there?
Yeah, extra time, I think.
It's extra time.
Yeah.
Sure. Hold on out then. Park the buses.
Yeah. Or cruise ships, if our friend Jane is still in the chat.
Yeah.
Straight in front.
Or yachts if it's Kang.
Yeah.
Helicopters. You can just like a fleet of helicopters, one at each end. Like
as the men in black all just go over the pitch.
just half time, just lifting up and flying 100 yards and lying back down again, like
just because they can. Hey.
Just because they can.
That can be a good hey.
Michelle Kang having the entire London City Line assisted get into the helicopter 3 at a time to swap ends at half time just because she can. Like
yeah, it's like, the Nike advert that they released at the Super Bowl saying you can't win, so win, which it's like they tell you can't. I say you can. We could go on forever. Oh, I've found my calling in life. Found my calling in life, guys. Awful slogans. That's it.
I mean, the one thing I do think, and I'm probably going to play it a lot. There was an amazing, the much lamented Sports Network versus their first broadcast season, and admittedly it was an American network, so there's no European football on it. But the promos they used to do at the start of each sports season were incredible. Everyone, just go and Google versus we got ourselves a game and just watch that, and you will want to run through walls. Like, genuinely, I was ready. I was ready to go and wrestle a lion. I don't care that there aren't any lions in the UK. I'd have gone. I'd have been off at Twycross Zoo at midnight in the lion enclosure. Going, come and have a go if you think you're hard enough. Like, after watching that, genuinely.
Hey, if the propaganda's got you doing that, it's done a good job.
We need something like that. I love a good montage, and the Women's FA Cup doesn't have one because it doesn't have any decent, iconic moments to put together with proper, like, any given Sunday speeches or anything like that.
Yeah. Well, wait. Hey, it's not over yet. Maybe some magic is yet to be had. Now then, so that's all our FA Cup chat. The only thing is, look ahead just really quickly to this weekend's fixtures. They're all on Sunday. We briefly talked about this last week, I think, when we had them up, but just as a little reminder. So we've got United versus Palace. We've got Arsenal, Tottenham, like the North London derby, as we mentioned earlier, about the Arsenal women's campaign. Got Chelsea, Everton, again. Leicester, Villa, West Ham, Brighton, and City, Liverpool. So where do you think, who do you think will pick the points? Danny, Paul, what do you think?
I like the East versus West brackets Midlands.
Ish.
Ish.
The Midlands-ish derby. Yeah. So that's King Power on Sunday. Emma is now going. Wonderful. Nice. So, yeah, Smeshers is like, I can't find car parking. So I sent her the link like, this one. Because it's the thing where you buy your ticket and then underneath the car parking separate. There's that. So, yeah, I'm magic for finding.
I mean, to be fair, I want to park on the street in Leicester anyway. So, yeah, got to find the car park as well.
Yeah. But just as a little side note behind the scenes, of course. So yeah, the Midlands-ish derby there. Again, vital that Villa win that one. They need the 3 points. I mean, so do Leicester, but Villa. West Ham, Brighton again. Brighton probably should get that one. Danny, who are you looking at for this? Anything good?
Palace at Man United. If they can go to Man United and win, that'd be lovely, please, and thank you.
Yes.
Imagine again, North London derby, obviously Arsenal, Tottenham, good barometer, I think, for Tottenham, but Arsenal just seem to be hitting all the right notes at the minute, don't they? And obviously they're not in a title race, but there's still a battle going on for the top four. Tottenham, it's always a good game for them to see where they're at. So excited to see that one.
Yeah, exactly. And again, for those at the top, it's about those Champions League places as well, isn't it? Solidifying those. Yes, absolutely. Let's look at our favourite one then in the Championship. So we've got Durham, Blackburn, Bristol, Southampton, Birmingham, Sheffield, London City, Sunderland, and Portsmouth, Charlton as well. So yeah, any good ones there for you, Danny? What do you think?
Looking at London City, Sunderland.
It'd be good.
Two of the seven teams now separated by 6 points in the best league in the world.
Yes.
That's the one that stands out to me, only because we're desperate for Sunderland to go and win that and close the gap. If Sunderland can go there and get the 3 points, that takes them to within a point of London City. That'll be lovely, please, and thank you. Yes. Yeah, what a battle it is going on. Again, we were here, I think, when we first started doing the pod, weren't we? We looked at this kind of similar kind of table last season and said, this is great. And it's happened again. It's brilliant. It's like a great...
I love it. Yeah. And like you were saying, if Sunderland do win, it's like you said, within a point of London City. So if nothing else happens, if just that one game happens, they will go from 6th to 3rd. That's how tight it is. So yeah, because we've got, of course,
it's a must win for
Birmingham
Birmingham in that game. They've got to win that one, really, haven't they?
have to.
They'll look at it and think, yeah.
So sorry,
Yeah.
Graham. I'm looking at Portsmouth Charlton, and I would love Karen Hills to suffer the manager of the month curse in that particular game.
Oh, yes, of course,
especially
she did
with
win it in January. So well done to Karen on that. But as Paul says, could it
like
be?
you say, especially with Birmingham City playing Sheffield United. If let's say the results go, ideally for the neutral, you want Birmingham City to win that.
Yeah.
And you want Portsmouth to beat Charlton, because then it's ridiculously tight at the top, and suddenly Portsmouth are within a point of Sheffield United and still have to play them.
Yeah. And this is why it's the best league in the world. Yes, you are correct, Chris. Newcastle do have a break because, of course, we've got an odd number of teams, haven't we? So Newcastle have got the week off. Goes for all this Pants love, and now you want Portsmouth to win. I thought I was liked on here. You are, Graham. You are, of course, always. But it would make it more fun if Portsmouth do win. And because it's not going to be, it's not going to be easy for anyone, and that's the good thing, isn't it? Like, anything could literally happen. But yeah, I mean, Portsmouth, if they tighten their defence up a bit, you never know. They might be able to do something. Just tighten it up. Because it wasn't great.
I do think if Southampton lose to Bristol City, not only does that put Bristol City massively in the mix, especially if Birmingham City win, Bristol City will need to win. But it's like, in a cycle race when you have the field and then people start to break away from it. You get a small group break away from it.
Yeah.
It'll be like that, and they'll drop Southampton off the back. Like,
yeah, so they'll just be drifting.
Southampton will just be drifting back to the main pack.
They'll just be there in their own little mid-table bubble, floating around.
Shout back to Blackburn, you can't catch me.
Not touching, can't get mad. Not touching, can't get mad.
Wow, we're getting playground tag references in.
Yeah. To be fair, Blackburn have only played 10 games, so they could still catch.
Oh, imagine if Southampton gets sucked into that battle at the bottom.
That would be quite funny. Because you're right, with Blackburn having 3 in hand. I mean, imagine if they're going on a winning streak now and they're just like...
Have Blackburn just been having breaks whenever they want to? Or are they just, just 3 games behind? They're like, everyone wants to take a break. We'll take a break this week.
Yeah. I don't fancy it this week. I think they were the victim of lots of postponements.
The storms.
And
frozen pitches at least.
Yeah, that kind of thing.
Definitely.
Because they were due to travel down. Oh, was that Charlton? That game?
The Blackburn Charlton game was postponed because Charlton, despite spending £1 million on their pitch, didn't put any heating on.
Imagine
if Graham always tells us.
But imagine if they did have heating and you were the person responsible for turning the heater on, and you forgot. Imagine that being your responsibility.
You had one job.
And it's on.
The pool grounds people. But yeah, so you never know. Blackburn could surprise us all. And yeah, that is it. Hey, it's before 11 o'clock. Well done, us. And we will
earlier when you said, we might be a short one tonight.
I don't know why I bother. To be honest, I don't know why that comes out of my mouth every time.
Well, put it this way: we must be finishing early because Emma hasn't started complaining and saying she needs to go to bed yet. So,
that's true. However, I am enjoying the struggle of her not being able to spell spicy. Spicy.
Kevin
she's used every vowel. She's had spicy, spicy, beefy. Like. You've got a 1 in 5 chance of getting it right, and 4 times you've got it wrong. Like,
And this is why we love having Emma in the comments, and Mr. Autocorrect, of course, who helps her out all the time. Now let's finish up then and see if we can finish before 11. So all of you wonderful people who have been watching and listening this week, thank you very much. And we know most of you do already like, follow, subscribe, etc. But if you don't, you need to, and you need to do it on the following platforms. Remember, it's not just us here talking about women's football on a Wednesday. We're Premier League on a Tuesday and Lower League on a Thursday as well. So on X, Twitter, everyone's saying Twitter, aren't they? At Absolute Ball Pod, or YouTube, Absolute Football Podcast. Same on Twitch. On TikTok, we are at Absolute Football Pod. Same on Instagram, but add an underscore. On Blue Sky, we are at Absolute Football, which most of us are on there now, so please do go give us a like on there. And Facebook, the Absolute Football Podcast as well. Now, thank you so much to both of you for joining me this evening. Danny, if people want to find more of you, where can they find you, please?
There. At Danny Brothers on Twitter, at Danny the Brothers on Instagram, for all your lower league. If you want to learn more about lower leagues, we do Northampton Town Women podcast once a month with our It's All Cobbers to Me platform. So yeah, come check us out.
Thank you very much. And Paul, thank you. Where can people find you? If you'd like to, please.
Find me once again. Slowly the hand comes up, and again I've done it the wrong way around. There we go. It's just at Paul W Radio, and then you add the weird little Blue Sky suffix to it, and follow the angry Arsenal fans or Man United fans.
The trail of the angry breadcrumbs will lead back to you.
Follow the angry quote tweets of the angry private quote tweets that I can't see, but I know are there. Like,
it does keep us amused with the funny ones, of course, not the horrible ones. And of course, thank you very much. If you would like to follow more of me, I'm at Freya Writes across pretty much everything. I'll probably be there. If you want to find out more about Villa Women, Thursday nights at 8:00, we do the Part of the Pride podcast. And yeah, I think that's it. I think I'm tired. I think we need to go.
Yes.
So, like we said, thank you so much to everyone. Have a lovely evening. Take care to all of you. And we'll be back again next week. And we'll see you next Wednesday at 8:30. So, good evening and goodbye. Thank you very much.